What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review and an unboxing of a new Visual Vengeance release that's coming out September 29th. The Abomination. So yeah, The Abomination is a movie. It's a classic 8mm gore fest that came out in 1986. That was a straight-to-video sort of title. Didn't get a lot of exposure, but it was one of the biggest ones to get exposure out of the Brett McCormick catalog. This is directed by Brett McCormick and Matt Devlin produced it. It is a story that Brett actually wrote as well. He has done a myriad of other films like Ozone and Replicator, which we're going to be doing a review and unboxing of then. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about what I think of this movie, some of its history, and what the ingredients in this release from Visual Vengeance are after I do the review. So just stay tuned. And thank you so much, Visual Vengeance, for sending this out to me. So The Abomination is a movie that I actually have known about for many, many years. Back in the day, of course, we had a lot of VHS movies, and this is one of those movies that, got kind of passed around a lot because there wasn't a large distribution for it. So a lot of people would either have a copy or, like, very rare, have a actual physical copy of the original release, which is worth hundreds now. And of course, this was the movie that has a lot of ambition, a lot of gore, and it's a lot of do it yourself and get out there and make a fucking movie, which I always admire. It is not an SOV film, but it is an 8mm film that was actually shot on 8mm and then put onto digital so that they could actually, put it out on tape. So what is The Abomination from 1986 all about anyway, Alex? Well, it's about a kid named Cody who lives with his mom. His mom is a huge fan of Brother Fogg, who is a televangelist who has gotten through to her to kind of help make her more of a holy woman. And she watches this every day religiously through her television to get her dose of Brother Fogg. When one day she's sitting there smoking a cigarette, getting her daily fill of religion from Brother Fogg, when all of a sudden she coughs up a tumor. That tumor, of course, gets thrown away in the trash. And that night when her son comes home, puts itself inside of his mouth. Yeah, gross. After a while, unbeknownst to Cody, he starts feeling a little strained. Cody then starts coughing up multiple tumors and going on a killing spree, unbeknownst to him, to feed the tumor beasts that come from beyond. Picking off some of his friends, his family, and pretty much anybody he can feed this thing to. Where does it stop? Yeah, it's a low-budget film, but it's done in a way that is super ambitious. It's not going to be done in the style of your most popular director out there who makes $20 million films from the 80s, or even $2 million films from the 80s. It is a film that is a little rough around the edges, but fans of SOV, shot on video, should have no complaints. These tumors start to grow pretty wildly, and he starts killing everybody off, and the gore is a-flowing after a while. Now, there are moments in the film that are a little dull, a little slow, and just kind of music padded. This movie is about a 90-minute movie, and a lot of people feel it needs to be trimmed up a little bit, but they made it work in this one. Is it perfect? Obviously not, but there's something of charm about it that I really like. It has this sort of Lovecraftian spin with this creature, this tumor that's controlling this guy's mind and sort of getting him out there to kill people to feed itself. It has no purpose other than to feed itself and grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I said, this is a very ambitious film, and this entity that's controlling somebody through their mind and kind of sending them out to kill everybody is very, very reminiscent of a lot of like Lovecraftian stuff, especially since he was kind of phobic about any kind of like germs and things. And a lot of the depictions of his creatures, which are inexplainable, kind of mirror some of the stuff that you see in the practical effects here. Obviously, this is not CGI because this is pre-CGI, and they are doing a lot of practical effects all over the fucking house. The entire house eventually gets infected with this gross, disgusting monster that he's feeding. Here's the cover. It's got teeth, it's hungry, and it ain't saying feed me, Seymour, but the Abomination himself said that might have been one of his favorite films. I'll tell you more about that in the extras. But yeah, like there are some poorly acted parts. There are a lot of static shots that, you know, the camera's not moving and doing stuff. There is in-camera gore, so you got that. There is a lot of blood. There is a lot of body parts, skeletons, flesh. There are a lot of different characters like Brother Fogg, Cody, his girlfriend, his mother, his friends, the people he meets along the way. But yeah, is it on the nose Lovecraft? No, but the story is just so ambitious. And for them to be able to do this on like $10,000 under budget, like under $10,000, is pretty insane. Essentially what happened is Brett and Matt Devlin, they actually made a movie that was older than this movie called Tabloid, and they spent about $100,000 on it. That's a lot of money from back in the day, in the 80s, if you think about it. Probably because they spent a lot of money on practical effects and everything else, but it didn't really pop off. And so they decided that they wanted to continue to make films, but they're going to have to do it on a budget. So they decided they were going to make two films from many different ideas that they came up with, one being Ozone and the other one being this, The Abomination. And they started shooting Ozone first, but they decided to go to this one because there were some issues. Now, I haven't seen Tabloid, and I don't think I ever got to see Ozone, but I do remember that back in the day was one of those tapes that I wanted to get. More on that later, by the way. But yeah, Visual Vengeance, I think, put together a really nice looking video as well. This is a 8mm to straight to the SD transfers, so this is a really sharp looking picture. It is not in 1080p, of course. It's just the 1080p disc holds all the extras, kind of how you see the 4Ks now. They only have the movie on it and there's no extras because they can't fit it all in there, so they're just using the disc, the 1080p disc, to hold all the other features. And those are all aplenty in this, so there's a lot to go over in that. But as a movie as a whole, I think for a movie that is kind of like one of those movies that never really got the digital treatment as well as like DVDs or Blu-rays or things like that, it's a really ambitious, creative film. It is going to be a little slow in some parts for some people, but ultimately I think this is one of the more unique films to come out because they were doing so many different things in this film with the creature work and the graphic, you know, violence, and, you know, there's just a lot of weird stuff in this movie that I think a lot of people who are fans of these kind of films will appreciate if you haven't seen it. Obviously, fans who grew up looking for films like this are going to absolutely buy this 100%. And even though the movie sometimes can be very dire, it is also kind of humorous. So there are some parts in the film that are taking the piss out of the movie and kind of trying to be fun, you know? Like, the movie is kind of serious and it does kind of have this serious tone about it, but there's these undertones of silly fun and laughter. So it's kind of self-aware in a lot of ways. I would say this is like a 7 out of 10 as far as like a movie to watch on the independent level that this is compared to other movies like it in that type of genre. I think that it fits definitely within a 7 out of 10. For most people, this is going to be like the worst movie they ever saw. But for those people who kind of like know what it's like to look for something very different and very unique, who know and can see the creativity and the vision that Brad and Matt Devlin wanted to put into this film, it's definitely something that is very unique and just fucked up. But this is something that could inspire just about anyone to get out there and make a film. And I really admire these kind of films for that reason and enjoy it. It's not just because I'm old enough to know what it is. I think younger versions of us could get into this just as much if you're into gore and just the idea of doing something very different that you haven't seen on screen before, because I don't think there's ever been a movie like this. I honestly would love to see a remake of this. I know that's a fucking forbidden thing, but I honestly think that somebody could do a version of this film, and that would be completely like, if they had like this big budget to do, you know, like it would be kind of wild to see a practical effects version of this movie in nowadays and like how they would treat it. But either way, we still have the original here, and Visual Vengeance really brings the goods, which I'm going to get into now. So yeah, you already seen the cover here. This is the slip cover that, you know, of course has the same stuff on the back as the other sides. This is the collector's edition version. There is another version above it that you can get a pair of glasses with, although I don't know if that's available anymore. But this is the step down, which is, you know, with the slip cover. And, you know, we got the new artwork here with the Abomination. Same kind of stuff that's on the back here. And I'll pause this for you to kind of see some of the extras and things in the video that I put over top of this. If you open it up, obviously we get a lot of extras here. There is the Abomination disc, which has some of the slipcovers artwork on it. You get the stickers, which they always include with their movies for the most part. You know, the stuff that you would have seen on like a DVD or a VHS technically back in the day. You get an official The Abomination official comic book adaptation in here, which has everybody that put the movie together, including Kim Davis, Brett McCormick, and Matt Devlin. It is written and directed by Brett McCormick, of course, too. But yeah, that's the I'll kind of spin through here to show you some of the pages. Then, of course, we also get The Abomination, which is, it has kind of like a tumorous parasitic beasts are nesting in the bowels of their victims. Soon they will hatch. And this is called The Tumor That Came to Fort Worth. Apocalypse on a Budget. Now, this is by Tony Strauss, who did Wang Chop magazine, and he does sort of like a description of everything that happened, the occurrences and everything with the movie and how it got to this point, including the Ozone movie, the Tabloid movie, and a little bit after that. And this is included in there. You also get the poster, the mini poster, which they always include here with the new artwork here, Visual Vengeance on the side, and the reversible sleeve that you can put on there as well. Do like both of the artwork actually a lot. The Abomination had multiple different covers too, by the way. Now we're going to go over the ingredients of this release, and man, is it chock full of good stuff here. One thing I really love about Visual Vengeance is that they have so much stuff packed into this. A lot of fun things too. Like, I went through this and I'm just like, wow, if you're a fan of this movie, this is going to be the ultimate edition. So you're going to want to stick around for all the extras that are in this. You know, not only do you get all the physical stuff, but you also get a new producer supervised ST master, which from the original tape source. They got the commentary with director Brett McCormick, Rob Housechild, and Matt Desiderio of Visual Vengeance. Those are the two guys that run that. They also have a commentary with Tony Strauss, who also did the insert there of Wang Chop's magazine. He does an entire thing. The first commentary with Brett, Rob, and Matt is really fun too. I really enjoyed that. I actually sat and listened to about half of it, and they just kind of go back and forth joking with each other about the movie and talking about it and what they think. It's like they've been longtime friends, and I'm probably sure they are because they just are fans of each other's stuff. You also get the Monster Kid movie Maverick, which is a new feature-length Brett McCormick interview, which does his entire history from the first film that he ever did, and even as a childhood, what he liked to do, all the way to today. And he talks about every single one of those films very poignantly, very interesting, and it was a great watch. We also get actress Blue Thompson, which is an interview with his wife, Brett McCormick's wife, who was in the film as the girlfriend. And she talks about a lot of the scene and the set and everybody that they got to work with. It's a lot of fun to watch too. We got actress Victoria Cheney, who does an interview for this as well. These are all brand new. This is actually the secretary who is of Father Bog, who's in the film. So she kind of talks about it, and she has a really good sense of humor in this too. We also get an interview with the original distributor, Michael Jack Scholl. That's from Donna Michelle Productions. That's a new one as well. We also get the filming locations tour, which is a whole thing on comparing it what it is today. Because like, if you don't know this, the house that they got in the movie was actually donated to them, and it didn't have any kind of like working utilities like a bathroom and all this. So they're using pig guts and stuff in the movie, and like real organs and shit. So you can imagine that this place stunk really bad by the end of the fucking movie. We also get a Super 8 outtakes and raw footage of Brett McCormick. We got behind the scenes, the stairway, which is just a little segment of them shooting down the stairway. Behind the scenes tumor test, which kind of is more extra footage. The behind the scenes image gallery, and an interview with the Abomination. Yes, that's right. Our little sharp-toothed tumor does a little interview with Matt Desiderio. which is actually fucking pretty entertaining because what they did, and this just goes to show you that these guys are a lot of fun, is that they went to actually interview the Abomination through text. So they do like a written interview that's on the screen that you can read with pictures, and it's like they ask the Abomination a question and they talk to him. There's like one part where he was like talking about the Abomination. I say he, but the Abomination says, well, everybody kept using all their fake names, and I'm not really quite sure why they did. So, you know, they're like taking the piss out of it. Real funny, kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff, but it's just fun, and it just shows you that they really enjoy this release, and they're not just putting out stuff that they don't like. They actually are fans of this movie. Yeah, we get all the deleted scenes and footage that they have on there, subtitles if you want them, and the trailers, the Visual Vengeance trailers. This is the thing that I noticed on here in the extras, is they had every trailer from Brett McCormick's catalog of movies, and each of those trailers suspiciously had a Visual Vengeance logo intro, which to me, and don't quote me here, but to me might mean that we are seeing the entire catalog of Brett McCormick's films coming to Visual Vengeance, and I'm definitely interested in seeing quite a few of them. You know, there's quite a few that look really charming as this film. This is a classic to me. If you are a fan of this movie, even mildly, and you've even thought of picking it up, this is the definitive version. Guaranteed. To have all this extra stuff in there, including even just an interview with the damn fucking Tumor, you got it in here, and it all looks and sounds great, and it is a lot of fun to watch. I really enjoyed actually reviewing this. Even if the movie isn't your cup of tea, it is still a nice piece to have in your collection to just kind of show that, you know, we can be very creative individuals and not have a lot of money and still make some pretty decent stuff. So thank you, Visual Vengeance, for sending this out to me. This goes on sale September 29th-ish. It's kind of bounced around date-wise, like 27th, 29th, but around the 29th. So you can pre-order this still right now, along with Replicator, and I'll be doing a review of that and an unboxing of that here soon too. But yeah, if you want to pick it up, I got all the links down below, wherever you decide to pick it up. Thank you guys for checking this out with me. Thank you guys so much for coming by, and as always, long live the void.